his opponent, do I? Now we have to stop Roy Moore.
Yes.
Are we ready to stop Roy Moore? Now what are we going to do on December 12th? Vote! What are we going to do on December 12th? Vote! Absolutely. So we have a man that has integrity, and that's going to follow the rule of law. And he's going to also restore integrity to our government. Yeah, we've seen it over and over again in the last 2 years, haven't we? But some leaders show courage on the battlefield, some in the boardroom. But Doug defends the defenseless and the hopeless. He has the competence and the character and exactly what we need in our next United States Senator. So without further ado, I would like to bring to the stage the next United States Senator, Doug Jones.
Political gathering in the history of the state of Alabama. Thank you, and welcome. And let me say at the outset, and I know everybody's so excited, and I am too, but we have to, again, acknowledge the tragedy that occurred in Las Vegas, and our hearts and our prayers go to the victims, and our thanks go to the first responders for putting their lives on the line. And probably save so many more. I also want to thank my pastor and friend Dale Coyne for his words and his thoughts for the people that are hurting today. But I want to thank Anthony Daniels. Representative Daniels is one of the game changers in this state, folks. Watch him and watch what happens. He's doing great work. And I want to thank Joe Biden's in the house. Let me take just a minute. I want to tell you. I want to take just a minute before Joe gets up to tell you a little bit about me, why I'm running, and why this race is so important. As Leader Daniel said, I grew up in Fairfield, just a few miles from here. You know, son of a steel worker, grandson of a steel worker and a coal miner. And I learned from those parents and grandparents the values that I hope to bring to the U.S. Senate. It's the values Joe Biden brought to the U.S. Senate and to the office of the Vice President. The values of honesty, integrity, and character, something that we desperately need in the state of Alabama. Over the last years of my career, fought for civil rights. I have fought for women's rights. I have done everything I can to fight for equality for every person in the state. I'm running for the U.S. Senate to bring those values to the Senate, to bring those Alabama values. That's the real Alabama values. I want to bring those and talk about the kitchen table issues, the issues that you talk about with your significant other, your spouse, your children, about the affordable health care, to try to make sure we have health care for everyone that's affordable. That people don't have to go into the bankruptcy court to pay medical bills. That women, single moms, don't have to take their children to the emergency room for routine health care. That we can keep our rural hospitals open. We want to fight to make sure retirements are protected in Medicaid and Medicare. I want to make sure that our seniors are protected. My mom's here today, and it's personal, folks. I took those same values to the United States Attorney's Office, where we coordinated a task force that convicted Eric Rudolph for bombing a women's clinic. That we investigated the 1963 bombing of the 16th Street Baptist Church. I promise you I'm going to take those values to Washington, D.C. You know, they have told me time and again that this race is a long shot. No. It's not the first time I've heard. It's something I want to do and I feel passionate about. It's a long shot. In 1997, when I became U.S. Attorney, that prosecuting a case that was almost 40 years old is a long shot. But you know what? When you are on the right side of history and the right side of justice, that this campaign is on the right side of history. We are on the right side of justice. We are on the right side of respect and fairness. And I can tell you, Roy Moore is not on the right side of history. I want to make sure that when I'm elected, I carry out my term. Simple. You do that by following your oath of office. You do that by following the duty of the people that elected you. You do it by obeying the rule of law and not This is so exciting for Louise and my family. We appreciate it so much. We can win this race and we can win it because of your help. I need your help. I need you calling. I need your writing. I need you sending money. I need you to do all of those things for this campaign and spread the word. Talk to your friends, but talk to them. You know that from the very beginning that we have talked in this race that our mantra is about dialogues. Engage people in those dialogues. Don't talk to them. Don't criticize. Talk to them about the issues, the very issues that we're talking about. And with your help and with you in my corner, we can win this race on December the 12th. We can win this race because I got somebody else in my corner. I got a man who has stood for the same values we stood for his entire public life. Elected to the U.S. Senate when he was 30 years old. Became the 47th Vice President of the United States. We've worked together on so many issues over the years. He has stood for the same civil rights issues. He has stood for those women's issues especially, and still standing when it comes to the sexual assaults of women on college campuses. But he is also the kind of leader and public servant who is selfless and committed and principled, the kind of guy who can sit down with world leaders across the globe and talk about international and national security, and at the same time come to Alabama and sit down across a kitchen table and talk about health care and wages and a living wage and education and the things that we're going to talk about in this race. Joe has been a role model for so many people. He has been a role model for me in many, many ways.
Apologize for my back here. Hey, look, folks. My name is Joe Biden, and I've been working with Doug Jones a long, long time. Folks, it's good to be here campaigning with Doug.
We love you, Joe.
Doug and I go back. We go back a long way. We go back to when he was in. I was just elected. I was 29 years old. I had to wait a total of 17 days to be eligible to be sworn in. I've been around so damn long, I knew John Sparkman. I said, and even though I was much senior to him, I never felt that way to Hal Heflin. Look, I've campaigned for an awful lot of candidates over the years. It's been my great privilege to campaign for candidates all across the country, literally in every state in the nation. And I can tell you that not all candidates are created equal. I can say to Lily Ledbetter, who's a great friend of mine, and she's gone out and campaigned. She's campaigned for all these folks, that, you know, I can count on two hands the people that I campaigned for that have as much integrity, as much courage, and a sense of honor and duty that Doug does. He's had it since, he's had it since he's been a kid. Well, I say a kid, since he was in law school. And that's a kid. No, I really mean it. I've watched him. I've seen him. And Doug knew that if he ran, he didn't say it, but he knew I'd be here if he wanted me to be. But it reminded me of the story I want to tell you. In 1978, I was running for re-election. I was all of 35 years old, running for my second term. And we were very late in the session. We didn't go out. We were trying to close down the Senate, adjourn, as Holly says, sine die. So when we're trying to get out, we have these round-robin votes all the time, and we didn't go out till about 10 days before the election day. And what happens is the senators, Democrat and Republican, they go down to the Senate dining room about 4 o'clock, and they get a bowl of soup, or me, a bowl of ice cream, or whatever. And all kidding aside, so we were waiting for the Senate to close down the day before it closed down, and I walked down, and I was flunking what I call the slope of the shoulder test. You can always tell how well a candidate's doing when you say to them, "How's it going?" They say, "Oh, we're really doing well." The guy or woman who's winning is the one that says, "I don't know, it's really a tough race." So I walked in, and old James O. East of Mississippi was the chairman of my committee, the Judiciary Committee at the time, and he was having supper with Herman Talmadge to talk at you like this. Well, I'm not making fun, by the way. Any of you know the state of Delaware, the southern 2/3 of my state is southern, the Delmarva Peninsula. They talk funny like y'all do too. Not a joke. Anyway, so I walked in, and I guess I was flunking the slope of the shoulder test. I went over to the corner table to get something to eat. And James O. Eastland, he always used to be able to have some smoke in those days in the Senate. And he had a big old cigar about as big as this microphone. And he took it out and he said, he never called me senator. He always called me son. He said, "Son, coach, yeah, sit down here." So I walked over, he said, "What's the matter?" And I told him how tough the race was. I won't go into the detail about it. And he looked at me, he said, "What old Jim Easton do for you in Delaware?" I said, "Well, some places you'd help, Mr. Chairman, and some places you hurt." And he went like this. Well, I'll come to Delaware and campaign for you or against you, whichever will help the most. I promised Doug I'd campaign for him or against him, whichever will help the most.